You are the CEO and co-founder of Kantox.
Yeah.
Can you remind us what Kantox does?
So we offer a foreign exchange management solution to businesses. So basically, we help them manage currency exposure, buy and sell foreign currencies, and do international payments globally.
Okay, so if I'm a big business or a small business, I have dollars, I need euros. Usually I go to the bank, it costs me too much money in transactions, so I go to you and it will help me to save money.
That's our value proposition.
So let's go through your life as an entrepreneur and let's go back in 2011. You were leaving your job, quitting your job, and you were taking so much risk. Because we always say like it's easier to start a company when you have nothing to lose. But you had everything to lose. So why did you want it so much to become an entrepreneur and to lose everything?
First, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never wanted to be a footballer. I never wanted to be a movie star. It sucks. So I always wanted to build companies, at least when I was a child. I remember when with my partner we were working in Deloitte and we decided to leave. We had absolutely nothing, almost just an idea, a plan, and we just met our boss saying, "Okay, we will leave to build a company." He looked at us, "What? You leave Deloitte to build a company?" "Yeah, we leave. We have almost a plan, very few savings, but we don't care. Let's go." And we did it that way, meaning without really thinking about it.
And you already knew the market you wanted to target, which was finance?
We had a very good PowerPoint. We had a very, very, very basic prototype. We had built something a bit crappy with a banking partner which really didn't know what we were doing with our bank accounts, and with this crappy platform, it was not even an MVP. So let's say we just said we want to do it. Let's go and let's see what happens. And
okay, so before talking about what you've been doing, how did you focus and identify the problem? What made you believe that, okay, this is a problem to tackle?
So we were in Deloitte working with the guy who's now my partner, Tony. So it was a bit of luck. So we spoke with one client, the finance director, about his business, and we discovered that when he was buying, selling currency, it was a company exporting a cava to the US. So cava is like the Spanish champagne. And we discovered that banks were applying non-transparent and very high commission on foreign exchange. So we thought, yeah, it's not super fair. Maybe we can have something better. And then we spoke with another client, and he had the same issue. Then with the third one, same issue. So then we said, this is just a market opportunity. If we speak with 3 clients, the 3 have the same issue. It's a problem. It's a huge pain point. It's a big market, a lot of money, a lot of commission. Let's go for it.
Okay. But didn't you thought like if this problem happened, it's maybe because there is a kind of monopoly that cannot be destructed easier, in an easy way?
But in our case, I think we loved it. Meaning, I think, at least if I think about Tony and myself, we would not have loved so much, for example, build another e-commerce. But you had this huge banking, let's say monopoly or oligopolies, as some players. It was much more exciting to try to disrupt an oligopoly so big than just to build another e-commerce company, for example. It was much more exciting and much more fulfilling. So we completely enjoyed it from day one.
So you started with your PowerPoint, your ideas on PowerPoint, and then what happened? You quit the job. What do you do?
So it was a bit different. So I started having this idea. I spoke with Tony. So we spent 6 or 9 months working on the idea. Let's say sometimes on Friday afternoon or weekend. And in October 2010, I think it was a Thursday. We were looking for an engineer for CTO to start, and we had no one in the pipe. And Tony said me, my cousin said me that tomorrow there is startup weekend, something coming to Barcelona. They just gather people, sales, marketing, techies, and just speak about ideas. You build team, and okay, fine. And he said me, let's go. So, do you really think this is for techies, for geeks, probably? So we have nothing to do there. And finally, he convinced me. We went there, and there we met two people. So we met our CTO, which finally made it possible then to build a beta and to start. And we met Frank Nueriga, which was one of the promoter of Startup Weekend, and it all started. So it was an amazing moment, and it was really a pivotal moment in some way for us.
Yeah. So tell me about this moment, like when you met this guy, the tech guy. How did you trust him, as you didn't know anything about tech, basically?
I think in the end, when you're not a techie, you cannot think you will be able to learn and understand. So it's better to think, I don't understand, I will never understand, so I will not try to understand. And then if you have some kind of chemical, you just think, okay, let's go for it. I trust this guy, maybe he will fail, and we will fail, but in the end, I cannot control anything because I don't understand anything. So you have a feeling and try, and you know that there is a huge risk of failure because most startups fail. But it's your opportunity. So I spent years looking to build a company, and in the end you see this opportunity coming, and you say, okay, it's now, so let's try. I think I thought about it maybe 5 minutes before having a clear idea that I wanted to go.
Okay. And the guy was also having this kind of crush on the team and decided to join? How did you convince him?
He's older than us. He's American. He spent many years in Intel, in Hewlett-Packard, doing a very core engineering, really not web stuff, even if he was good in web. I think he had the other problem, which is I'm a techie, I like it, I want to build a web company, but I have no idea about sales, marketing. I'm not a leader, I'm not an entrepreneur, so I need to find people and to join them. So in the end, there was this kind of chemical. From this moment, we started working all together every Saturday to start building some kind of, let's say, MVP or something basic. I remember we went to Dutch Bank. We opened an account in Dutch Bank to make like a beta transaction with two clients. One was a friend was working in a company, and the other one I don't exactly remember. So we opened an account in Dutch Bank, and we did this kind of first almost fake transaction to show business angels that the platform was working. The guy in Dutch Bank had no idea what we were doing. We said him we are a marketing company, just for him to feel comfortable. So we did it, and a bit after we won a startup contest in Spain with, I think it was 25,000 euro prize money. And the guy giving the prize was someone who, a couple of years before, built and exited a web company in Germany for big money. So he was a very, let's say, credible guy in the industry. So we thought, if this guy is betting on us, we should go. And the same day when we were pitching at this startup event, there was a banker saying us, you should not do what you want to do because we will never let you do that, so you will fail. We say, okay, maybe, but anyway, let's try. And now...
How do you build your startup culture? How do you hire people? How do you make sure that they share the same mindset as yours?
I think you don't really build the culture by asking people to think one way or to do something. I think building culture in a startup is like with child, you know. It's finally learning by looking at who are the leaders and how they behave. So it's some kind of mimetism. So if you want a company in which people are really optimistic, really aggressive, really ambitious against banks or stuff like that, you need to be like this. And in the end, most people, not all people, but most people will finally behave the same way. So it's really being an example for them and just being hard, being tough, never ending. And the culture, you build the culture that way, the culture grows that way. I don't believe in big theories about you should do this and this. No, for me, it's mainly leadership. Anything else is marginal.
Okay. In your world, it's a banking world. And I mean, you must encounter and see so many people from the old school vision and mindset. I mean, how do you interact with them? How do you deal with them? Do you focus on the people that are open-minded, or do you know how to handle this person?
It depends. You mean when they are, for example, because we have clients, for example, many clients, they are quite risk averse and a bit old school because a finance director of a company, 500 million, usually is 50 years old, so he's not a typical digital early adopter person. But then it's a lot of education, explaining what banks do, what we do, why we are different, why we are better. So we are still in a phase in which we are educating. It's early stage, but I think that in the end, it's a matter of never giving up. So I remember when we started, we had already, we were not regulated. So we are a beta platform. We're not already regulated, so not really already in business. But we started pitching a lot of clients just to have them excited about the product and to have them on board. And I remember I was trying to reach a lot of people on LinkedIn, and we were too ambitious, but too ambitious. It was exaggerated. So I remember we had already no business, we had never done any transactions, and I have the treasurer of Mango who says, "It looks interesting, come." So we prepare with my partner, we go, the two of us, we go to Mango in Barcelona, and there was a guy, so the treasurer of Mango, the assistant, and another one, so three guys. We start explaining, and they were looking at us like stoically, you know. So we start speaking, and at some point they were not answering or not asking anything, and I said, "Yeah, but so you do FX now? You have currency exchange?" Yeah, we do. How much per year? Well, we have something like 1.5 billion, and we had done zero at that moment, not even one. And the guy said 1.5 billion. Okay, so I think we can help you. We can do business with you. So we can get a share of your business. And the guy was looking at us. They are new. They have no clients. They have not done any transaction, and they are saying me that they will get a share from our 1.5 billion business. But we were like this, you know, going to anyone, even the largest client, pitching them, and no fear.
So what happened with these guys?
So we didn't got him as a client at that moment, and we are still chasing him because it's a matter of never giving up. But in the end, we are getting large clients, a bit the same size. But I think just a good example of
not being afraid.
Yeah, it's no borders, no barriers. Pitch anyone, feel comfortable, and be aggressive in the right sense.
Can you talk a little bit about this regulation? You needed an approval from a certain institution?
Yeah, when you're in financial services, you need, let's say, the regulator. In France, it's ACPR. In the UK, it's FCA. Just to say, okay, you have done anything you have to do to really be a safe company. Your clients are safe. The money is safe. So it's, let's say, it's an official stamp that say you can start being in business. It's still long, complicated, and expensive.
How long?
There are different, let's say, kind of regulation. To have the first one, it took 6 months.
Okay, so during the first 6 months, you had to prove that you were serious. The platform was already, but so you cannot make business before that. No. So what do you do during these 6 months? You build something, you try to
pitch client like crazy just to be sure you have a pipe when you start.
And when a client tells you, okay, let's go, did it happen?
Yeah. So you try to manage it just to be sure you manage expectations. If it's way too early, you just say, okay, let's wait for September. Well, the first one we said it was in June, and we say, okay, but we have to wait September. Yeah, September. But then you manage a bit expectation because sometimes you have people say, okay, we will start. And in the end you think, okay, we'll start, it's 1 week, and no, it's 3 months. So I prefer having too many people in the pipe and saying no to some of them than waiting too long and then losing a lot of time.
So you're not afraid about disappointing the potential clients?
I think the very beginning, when you're just starting, you cannot think that way.
Yeah.
And we had a horrible platform when we started. Horrible. It was like something which looked very 90s, you know, in the beginning of the web.
Yeah.
But anyway, we don't care.
You started, you were working on the product, you were pitching client, you were trying to have the regulation approval, you already had clients interested. So basically you did all the things, and it's the way you're talking about it is like there hasn't been any doubt at any time Like you've always been believing because the client were interested, the platform was about to work. So when the platform worked, you had the approval, then you could start the business. How it's been?
I think that my partner and myself, him maybe even more. We have an ability to go on and never give up and never give, which is probably way above the average. I mean, I'm quite sure that 90% of people would have stopped or pivoted, but we say, no, it will work. Maybe it will take time, but it has to work, it will work, it's sure. So we go on, we pitch, we go on, and then at some point you really raise it. And I remember when I was at the beginning speaking to people from the industry or even investors in the beginning, when you have low traction, people were thinking about.
At the beginning, anyone who is going through you is earning money. I mean, losing less money in transaction of currencies. But you need a lot of transaction to actually make money. So you raise funds. When did you raise funds? When did you felt like you had to accelerate your growth through investment?
So we did the startup weekend in October 2010. We win the startup award with some money in March 2011. We quit our jobs in April 2011. We raise a seed, it's not a seed, a friend family of 150K in summer 2011. We start getting small transaction in November 2011. And I remember an amazing moment. We arrived in, I think it's April 2012. We start pitching investors for seed funding for 1 million. And traction, we started getting traction, but it was very low. And we convinced, so the clients we had were very small, we convinced two huge clients in Spain. One is 1.5 billion revenue, and one is 800 million revenue, to do a transaction with us. I think they were completely unaware of the, let's say, the
risk.
The risk, but not so much the risk, but let's say more the
level.
fact that we were 3 guys in a small room, really. And they said, okay, let's do a $1 million transaction. Okay, let's do it, no problem. And then at this moment, I was also the finance director of the company. And when you receive the fund of client, you have to manage all the payments, the bank transfers. So if someone wants $1, he sends you euros, and you have to send him back dollars. And I do all the transaction for this $1 million transaction in, I think it was a Novotel hotel in London during a conference with a Wi-Fi manually. So I remember I was in my computer reading at least 3 or 4 times every number, the IBAN, the SWIFT, to be sure there was no mistake, because it was pushing the button to send $1 million. And so it was quite an amazing moment. And everything went well. But then I thought, do this guy really think that I'm in a hotel, in a conference room with a Wi-Fi, sending them $1 million? So we were a bit of a group of really pirates, you know.
Kind of craziness.
Yeah.
So, like, can you tell us about how do you convince a client? I mean, this is kind of magic in the team. Like, you can make this happen. So, what is your secret sauce to convince people?
My partner is amazingly good at that. He's much more sales guy than me, so he's really impressive because he's younger. Meaning,
how old is he?
Now he's 29, but when we started pitching this huge company, he was 25. And I think we had this ability of pitching people much older, big companies. And I think in the end, when we're pitching them, and when you consider how a bank manager will pitch them with a crappy old school suit and a tie and I don't know what, and when we were pitching them, it was such an extreme difference that some of them were really excited about the idea. Not all of them, definitely, but it was so refreshing. It was after financial crisis. Yeah. Almost any company hated banks at that moment. So for them, it was so refreshing that some people were just like, I will use you anyway.
So
I
what
don't
you're
care.
saying is that actually the human factor, meaning the fact that young people
B2B, it's
still believe
key.
in them
Yeah.
and they want to do things with you just because you're a nice guy,
Not nice, but because
refreshing their...
disrupting the financial industry is a huge challenge. So we have many clients that love so much the fact that we are disrupting the financial industry. We have one client, I will give you another example. It's one of the largest ones, okay? They have revenue of something like 3 or 4 billion, I think, something like that. And they do maybe $100 million with us every year. So it's a large company, they are listed on stock exchange, and every month there is a account manager from the bank on the foreign exchange trading floor, so the top guy calling him and saying, oh, so when do we do business together? And no, foreign exchange with Kantox, no discussion. And the guy is calling every month, and every month he say me, hey, you know what, he called back. I say no, and he's happy, you know, just to say no, sorry.
How many clients? 1,600?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you keep this kind of magic relationship with your big clients?
First, we try to have an amazing customer support. Any issue, any question, we try to be extremely responsive, extremely flexible. We are improving a lot the product and bringing more and more technology solution. But that's what in the end, in B2B, there is also a human factor relationship, which is important. We don't really do stuff like inviting them to many things. We just do one thing. So we have the back office in Barcelona. So this year we have a box in the stadium, in the Camp Nou. So we invite clients to football with champagne and stuff like that, and they love it.
As being settled down in Barcelona to actually be anywhere else in Europe for your B2B target?
So first, the founders, we were living in Barcelona before starting the company.
Why?
Because it's the best place to live in Europe.
Lifestyle,
by far.
the sea, the sun, the people.
Yeah, I think in Europe there is definitely no place like Barcelona. I think in the world it's probably top 3 or top 5.
Totally agree.
So we were living there because it was amazing to live there. So when we started the company, because of regulation and financial markets, we decided to move the headquarters, or to settle the headquarters in London. But from the very beginning, we said back office and technology stay in Barcelona.
And why London for the back office?
Why Barcelona for the back office?
Ah, sorry, no, the headquarters in
Regulation
London.
was, let's say, more adapted. Financial markets and the ecosystem is there, so you have more people with knowledge, more partners, and fintech was already
Big
emerging, let's say, in 2011, but it was the place. So we said, let's move the headquarters there, let's have back office in Barcelona. Basically, if you compare the expenses, it's 4 times less in Barcelona.
Definitely.
Quality of
expensive of the
salaries, offices in Barcelona are 5 or 6 times less expensive than London.
And you have the ocean view.
Yes, we have. I think I'm quite sure we have the best fintech office in Europe, definitely. No, you can attract people from abroad. People enjoy the lifestyle. There is a growing now tech ecosystem. It's not huge, but there are successful companies. There are local investors. It's not so big, but meaning something is happening. There is a lot of excitement and successes. So for me, it's really a place to be in tech in Europe. Even big VCs are coming to invest locally.
Okay.
We love it.
Totally. So in terms of business model, this is really interesting because you're talking about this software vision, like you really want it as a startup to scale. What made you think about this? And you started the product by saying, I'm going to help the people to save money in a way through the currency exchange. And actually, the value proposal is so much more, but you grab the people through.
First, I think fintech is very complex because finance is complex and regulation is complex. So it's much better to start with something very simple, with a very simple value proposition to start getting clients.
Is this, you knew it from day one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then what you discover is that first, when you are getting larger clients, And given we have this ambition of pitching anyone, even the large ones, you discover the large ones have more sophisticated requirements than the, let's say, basic ones. But then you discover that if you're able to meet this kind of demand and to develop these more sophisticated products, they generate much more revenue, much more profitability. So at some point you say, look, we are this existing business with smaller clients, basic demand, we just save them money, they like it. But then we can provide something much more advanced technologically, generating much more revenue with much larger clients. So it's finally much more interesting as a business to serve these clients than the small ones. So we go on serving the small ones, but we have now a lot of focus on the large ones, on technology, software, value added. So we are becoming a software company, not only because of the product, but culturally.
Mm-hmm. Thanks to what? Because you're not tech guys.
Because in the end, it's a matter of meeting demand and solving pain points and bringing value. I think, as our CTO say, you can do anything. Meaning, the technology has no limit. Technology is never the problem. The problem is always clients and revenue. But you can build any technology. Meaning, it's never the limit. Sometimes it's complex, but the technology is never the limit or is never the barrier. It's always about clients, demand, pain points, and revenue. So when we think about new product, new things, sophisticated, I think I have really never asked my CTO ever, is it possible to do it? By default, it's always. So sometimes it's complicated to build, but I never ask him, do you think we can do it? No. Okay, we will build this.
Do you have an opinion or a personal experience of, have you been involved in any subsidiaries help? Did you ask for money from the European Commission or anything? And why?
First, because, so I will take different cases. In London, public money or stuff like that doesn't really exist. Meaning they don't give public money to startups. They help regulation, anything, but public money, it's not an option. In Spain, it is. In Spain, they give public money to any startup. If the team is completely crappy and stupid, they have money. If the project doesn't make sense, they have money. But if you're a fintech company, it's forbidden for you. So the bank's lobby are just making it impossible for fintech companies to get public money, even if it's 20,000 euros. So we didn't add money, and Luis Caviedes always say, so he's a venture capital firm, and he always says, if I want as a venture capital firm, I can invest in company producing weapons, I can invest in prostitution in Spain, but you cannot give public money to fintech companies. So he say it's just crazy.
Totally
so
crazy.
It's the bank's oligopoly which is just forbidding this kind of thing.
So basically, you didn't choose public money by default because
it was impossible.
It was impossible. But if it had been possible, would you have gone for it or no? You don't care. It's not a matter of moral.
I don't really care. In the end, okay, I don't think that public money should be spent massively in building startups. But in the end, I think that any euro is better spent in a startup than in something absolutely useless that they love doing, So
your client are so you are in a B2B business, so you need to talk a lot in front of salespeople from big businesses. You must be very, very invited to much of the tech conference. So this I guess you accept because it's part of your business. What do you think about the political events? Do you go there? Why do you go there? Do you refuse it? How do you manage your time basically?
I only attend events or things that I think are all they are value added for a company, or they are value added for me as an entrepreneur thinking long term. So for example, I only go to fintech conferences when I'm a speaker. If I don't speak, I don't go. I think
Why?
It's losing time. And very often you have means the interesting people you already know them. So if you go to a fintech conference, it's to speak. If you don't speak, it's useless. And then I try to be involved in some, let's say, organization or events that are really helping me growing as an entrepreneur. So for example, I'm in Gallium project. which is an amazing idea from some of the most successful guys in France. So, Rudel, Mazella, Kosuko Morisset. I hope I don't forget anyone. So this is amazingly interesting because it's a way to grow in the long run as an entrepreneur. It's not so much for the business now, but it's because you learn a lot by interacting with, let's say, the people that are more senior or already much more successful. So this is an amazing idea. I did it one time, and it's something I will repeat for sure. So it's a more long-term view.
So who helped you become better?
Reading a lot.
Yeah? What do you read?
A lot of tech and a lot of tech books and finance book and biography, and you learn a lot by reading. I read at least 4 times PayPal Wars, which is a bit our Bible in Kantox. So when you join Kantox, usually we give you PayPal Wars, so you have to read PayPal Wars. And a lot of I say business books or biography. You learn really a lot. I think that people underestimate a lot what you can read and how you can be prepared by reading. I think before starting Kantox, I read almost all the book of Guy Kawasaki, at least one time each. I remember I read one. I remember in a very slow train between Peking and Shanghai. I read one from beginning to the end. I think I spent 12 hours in the train. I remember very clearly. So by reading, you learn so much. Not short articles online, no. Really books size.
Yeah. Do you have children?
No, I am married last June.
Yeah.
So I think I work still a bit too much. So I think I need to be able to structure and consolidate a bit more the company and have a bit more time. If not, it will be unmanageable.
Yeah.
And as I learned, and I think this is a good point for anyone wanting to build a company, and it was a quite interesting discussion in the last holiday with entrepreneur. Wife management is a very important part of building startups.
So how is your wife? I mean, not about, regarding you being an entrepreneur, she's been supportive.
Yeah, but it's tough for, when you work a lot, when you travel a lot, it's very stressful. So it's much harder than to be the wife of an employee in L'Oréal or a big company like this. Definitely. But then, as I always say, meaning you are assuming risk and you are making some kind of efforts that most people will never do. But maybe that someday you will live a life that they will never able to achieve. So.
She had a stable job.
Yeah, more normal one.
Normal one, yeah.
I think having 2 entrepreneurs in a couple, I think it's crazy. Yeah?
And you met her before being an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
or before?
So there was a
Okay.
real pivot, between being an employee and being an entrepreneur. Yeah.
So you made it clear about the risk you were taking and the life you would have.
Yeah.
And she stayed.
Yeah.
She supported you.
Yeah.
And this was important for you to.
If not, it doesn't work. Yeah? Meaning, if she's not supportive, it breaks very quickly. So.
She accepted it. I mean, in a way, you choose to be fully.
To be honest, I never asked for permission.
Yeah. She had to follow.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
I will become an entrepreneur. It will be this and this. Is it fine?
Yeah. No, but the most important thing in this is that you need a stable couple. You need someone following and backing, and not making a problem of the situation.
No.
Otherwise, it doesn't work.
No.
Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're totally dedicated to your mission. There is no other choice.
So let's cheers for Goldman Sachs.
Yes.
They will disappear.